Good morning, North America. Welcome to Church Talk TV. Lively talk about life, church, and church life. I'm your co-host, Dr. Bill Tenney-Britton, and I'm joined, as usual, by my co-host, Dr. Kris Tenney-Britton, and we're broadcasting from our studio in Columbia, Missouri, the heartland of America. Say good morning, Kris.
Well, good morning, and welcome to Church Talk TV.
Kris and Bill Tenney-Britton here today to talk about, here in September, to start talking about holiday planning for maximum outreach in your community.
Wait!
That's that.
But Christmas is only, 3 months minus 2 days away. If I were working fast, I could tell you it's almost here.
If you're watching it live.
Right,
yeah.
if you're watching us live, right, on Wednesday. But the other piece is, I'm just thinking, okay, that's 2 months minus a couple, 4 days to start decorating. So you know what, y'all? You've got to start thinking not just about how you're going to decorate, but what you're going to do for the holidays, and especially because you need to get word of mouth. And plan.
Well, and here's a key here. I mean, this is huge in the church, is that unless you do something different,
yes,
or plan something different, you're going to do this year what you did last year, what you did the year before. And I want to ask you, were the results what you hoped for?
Yeah.
Can you look across your congregation and say, well, there's a new member who came from my Christmas series, there's someone who came from my holiday series, or is it like for most of us, we look across the congregation and go, yeah, that was a whole lot of work, and where is everybody?
Well, I don't know. Well, see, here's what I see happen, is that there's a whole lot of work, and then we feel good about it because it went well, right? It looked well, it went well. And that's output. I may have talked about this last week or the week before. I'm really right now into output and outcomes. And
Big difference.
So there is a huge difference, right? So we put it in, I'm just going to use live nativities for an example, right?
It's a great example because we're going to talk about it later on.
Yes, we are. That's why it's on my mind, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Right. So we plan for a live nativity. There are so many details that go into it, and we get it, and we have a live nativity.
And people show up. They come
do
stand
show
in the
up.
street,
And
they
we
drive
feel good
by,
about
they
that.
wave,
Right.
they beep their horn,
and we
scare
feel,
the animals.
Yes, oh mercy. We've done these several times. But yeah, I mean, we feel good about it, rightfully so. Everybody came together. We really were a community.
And boy,
so
it feels good.
It does.
Without a hitch.
And rightfully so.
Right.
Rightfully so. And people got to hear the story, perhaps.
Christmas
Jesus,
story, yeah.
The Christmas story, maybe in a new way, if they're kind of new to that, right? But
Right.
often we use the same scripts, or a live nativity is more like a diorama. But the question is just what you're asking. It's almost like a so what. If that was what you wanted to be your outcome, that people felt good about it, they smiled, they came by and honked so they could wave and scare the animals, then you've got some. That's still output, though. Or if that's what your goal was, then you've got outcomes.
That's your outcome.
But is that really what you want your outcome to be? You can leverage it into so much more. You can.
Which really gets us to our first point.
Yeah, go.
Which is, our first point is, if you're going to make the most of your holidays, and I think both of us agree, I don't think we're going to argue on this one much, not even a lively conversation on, the whole point of the church is to make disciples.
Right.
New disciples,
right,
and better disciples,
right,
and better disciples always make new disciples.
That's right.
That's how it works, okay? So we don't argue on that one. All right, so if the goal is to make disciples, then the goal isn't to feel good. I mean, we want to feel good, don't get me wrong, but if that's the ultimate outcome we're going for, is that, wow, we pulled that off, then you've got a problem. So step one is to craft a clear vision. What is it you want from all the holiday activities that you're about to plan and put into practice? Do you just want to have a good feeling and everyone feels good? Sometimes there's time in church history,
we have to do that.
We have to do that.
We have to do that.
But most churches at this point are at a struggling place. Most of the churches we work with are, we're still trying to recoup from COVID. And, and our attendance is down, and our members are getting older. They're getting tired. I just had a conversation today with the pastor who says we have 100 in average worship attendance, but our people are tired. The Pareto principle is 80-20. He says, I'd be happy with the Pareto principle. We're at best 15% doing the work, and the other 85% going, we used to do that. We're tired. We're not doing it anymore. So if you want something different, if you want to bring in new people, if that's the goal, then you need to craft a clear vision of what it is that we want, what is the outcome that we want from all his activities, and plan from there.
Okay, so I want to say this too.
Yeah.
it is okay to want people to come back, right? It's okay to say, that, the purpose, right, the vision for our live nativity, I'm just going to stick with it,
right? Yeah,
for
sure.
our live nativity is that we reach people, that we'll see those people come to our Christmas Eve service or the Sunday before Christmas, which happens to be Christmas Eve this year, right? That they'll
and
come
back in January,
and they'll
in January,
definitely, and the Sunday after Christmas, right?
That's not okay. That ought to be our expectation.
Yes, exactly.
That we have said we're doing all this for the primary, not the sole purpose, perhaps, but the primary purpose of reaching the people in our community to help introduce them to Jesus Christ and bring them into the church, our church or another church, but into the kingdom of God at least, and hopefully our church if we're doing the work.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking? Oh my gosh. So we're all about the good news, right? It's Christmas, like the birth of good news, the good news guy, right? And so
I like the good news guy.
Right. I mean, he is good news, right? So, anyways, we got the birth of good news guy, capital G, please, and GNG. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, so here he is, but we don't tell the good news. We tell the story. We get him into the manger. Woohoo! Let's go for it. And we might even do through the resurrection, but we're not telling the good news. We're not, and people just don't know that.
Well, and I want to real quick define that the good news isn't that Jesus died for you and broke all the barriers. The good news is you can have a full and abundant life because of that. And the good news for any individual is that I can have a different life than I have now. That's the good news. It's not pie in the sky, by and by, my sins are forgiven. It's that I can have a better life, a full and abundant life, beginning today if I follow the training, the commandments, beyond the suggestions, following Jesus in the ways of, in his ways.
Yeah. So I don't know. I preached on Sunday, and one of the lines in my message that I might have stolen, but if not, I really like it from myself.
You stole it from me.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Good try.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
I know, you don't know. So anyways, it was that, a lot of us preacher types are more than happy to sell you fire insurance, but Jesus didn't come for insurance. He brings you assurance.
Oh, I like it.
Right?
I love it. Yeah,
I know.
great. Yeah,
I hope nobody else has said that, right?
I'm sure someone has said it sometime, but
they have.
right.
I know. I've stolen it for,
right.
Here
all right,
are the quotations.
So come back. Number one job in planning your outreach or your Christmas stuff, your whole holiday stuff, from Thanksgiving through the third week after the new year, because you need to be planning at least that far out, is that you have to have a clear vision of what we want to happen from them.
Right.
And to do that, we need to do the planning, and we need to do the vision, have that vision, but we need a compelling message.
Right.
Something to tell us, remind us, and remind our church that this is what we're in the business for, that this is where we're going. So step one, craft a clear vision. Know for sure what it is you're trying to accomplish, the outcomes you want, so that as you begin to plan, and do this before you start planning, that as you plan, you're saying, how will this bring more people? How will we connect with more people, and so on? Right.
I think, and let's be real about that, because when one of the pieces you just said made me think, what do we want out of this? And again, a lot of people are going to say we want a nativity. We want our planning to be a nativity or a kids program, right? Or something along those lines.
That's bait, or that's a tool to communicate the gospel.
Right, exactly. To give you a taste of the gospel, or to catch your attention about the gospel, right? Another
to bring you from the way out to the crowd where you don't even know who we are, to who we are, and hopefully to not just who we are, but that we have something that's valuable for you.
This is why we do what we do, right? I mean, we say this all the time. Do you think I'd have 3 degrees and a lot of certifications and make what a minister makes and do that if I didn't believe what I'm selling, but I do and follow this man. But as well about having that clear vision. It's that we've taught this in a different way for years, is that write a news article for the third week into January. Just make it January 21st. What are they saying about what your outcome is? Not just, you had this really nice stable and animals, and y'all just really look, I mean, from the outside, they don't care really if y'all were together and everything. But wow, that next Sunday, they had 20 new people. They had 2 new people. What is your vision?
Right.
So keep going.
Right.
We
Okay,
need
so-
a compelling message that aligns with our culture.
Right, exactly.
Right?
We're trying to
Okay.
get there. Okay, that's number one. So
All right.
craft a vision so you know what you want so you can plan everything with that in mind. Number 2, plan concrete activities. Be specific about what you're planning and why you're planning them. So often we have, well, every year we do this, and every year we do that, and every year we do the other, and that may be great.
Right.
But why? Why are we doing these things? And if we have a vision of what we're trying to accomplish, do these things line up with that? I worked with a church that this was a Thanksgiving deal. Every year they did, it was like 50, 75 Thanksgiving baskets, a full big, everything for indigent families that were poor, couldn't afford or whatever.
Food insecure.
Food insecurity.
That's my word of the week.
Food
Yeah.
insecurity. All right. And so, but they partnered with another agency in the community who gave them the names. And that agency said, you cannot introduce yourself as members of the church or of any church. You can't put any information in the basket about your church. In other words, it was a completely anonymous, including anonymous from Christianity, anonymous gift. And I said, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
And they were like, but this is our number one activity every year. We are known all around. No, and it's like, no, you're not,
Right.
because no one knows you're doing it
Right.
besides
Right,
you.
right.
Okay? No one knows because you're not allowed to share.
Right.
So they said, well, we don't want to stop doing it. I said, you don't have to stop doing it. You just need to find another agency to partner with. And I bet there's another agency out there that would love to have someone deliver 50 to 75 baskets who would say to you, of course you can introduce yourselves. Of course you can invite people to come and participate in your church, to come to whatever. And it's like, oh, we get it. The whole point of this was to communicate the gospel. And if you can't communicate the gospel, you got to stop it. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I'm thinking of smaller towns,
Right.
okay, and that's something that
Right.
small mid-sized towns do as well, and that when
this wasn't a
they
big
may
town.
not have but
Right.
they may not have alternative places that they can go, but you try to become the distribution area, right? So that people might come and pick up their baskets and pick
Yep.
them up there, or if you're delivering them, you put it into the basket. They may not want you
Information
to.
in the basket, yeah.
You put your information into the basket. Don't
Right.
make it overt. Don't
Yeah,
put
yeah.
tracts in there or anything else, but slide in about what your
Yeah, that's it,
upcoming
that's it.
holiday.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Tell you
things
you
are
can't
gonna
do it
be,
again next year?
right?
You go, fine, I'll find somebody else. All right.
Yeah,
So
we'll send them somewhere
you've
else.
got to, as you make your plans, look at what you're already doing or what you already normally do, your
Right.
traditions, and then ask, will this line up with our vision? If not, you have 2 options. Number 1 is to realign what you're doing. The second is to cancel. But let's start off with, we do a Christmas bazaar every year. Great, you do a Christmas bazaar. How is that doing reaching your vision? Well, we make a lot of money. That's not the point. Okay, if making money is the point, then all we're doing is feeding the community what they already think about the church. They only want our money.
Right.
They're all about the
Wow,
money.
they make really good. They make really good sausage.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Have really cool crafts. That's why I go there.
Yeah, and we're taking their money.
Right.
And again, it just feeds into what they already believe
Right.
about the church. It's all about the money. And so, how do you take your Christmas bazaar this year and make it into a gospel delivery system, a system by which, again, not handing them a religious tract that says, here's the gospel, because that's not the gospel. It's about making a relationship, connecting, getting them to show up at your worship service where they can build a real connection with people, your church members, have lunch with them, get to know them, and get to know Jesus in the process. So how do you rework that? Because you can. But if you have an event that you can't rework, it just doesn't work to do your then really nix it, because it's not a part of your vision.
I know, but I can just hear churches saying, and I would agree with y'all if they said no, we can't. And for me,
Then adjust
okay,
your-
wait,
then
wait,
adjust your
adjust
outcome.
it. You adjust. Well, but you can adjust what you do, right? I
Right.
mean,
But if they-
Christmas. Wait a minute. Christmas is Jesus's gift to the church.
Right.
I believe that. So if you've got traditions that are working and they work for you, you don't mess with those. But you either add to it or you tweak it to work.
Okay, so you're changing
to
it.
an outcome. Well, you're
Right.
not. You're going to tweak it. So I'm thinking about this bazaar. Okay,
Right.
I want people to come back. Churches are stodgy. What do they do? They're here to raise music. I'm going to have people carol through there. And if I can get them to dress up, I'm going to have, like, if I'm having a live nativity, I'm still on this, or a kids pageant, if I've got kids, then I'm going to have them in their costumes and whatnot, and I'm going to have them singing or doing whatever and walking them around. And isn't that cute? I mean, people want cute, but I'm going to be making sure, like, I don't know, I would put something maybe on the back of a kid's costume that says, follow me here, But I'd also, with that, I mean, one of the best ideas I've had in churches I've served is to do some kind of a kids, special kids Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Parents or grandparents, they're adults, can go and shop or do whatever they need to do. And you do something with the kids that are meaningful, not just crafts, but there are all kinds of things so that they're getting the stories, right? But you've got to make your kids visible if you're going to do something like that. What are your outcomes? I want them to come back. So I want to have them fun. I want to capture their attention. I know we're going to talk about our marketing plans, but that can be a great marketing plan. So you take that bazaar and you make it into a marketing plan.
Right, no argument there. Okay,
good.
I was saying something that you cannot tweak if you can, that is not doing it. If you have an in-house Christmas party and only church members are invited, then if
You have to add something.
Right, exactly.
You don't throw it out.
Right, and if you can't, then you have to say either if it doesn't align with this, what are the outcomes we want from that? So if the outcome is we're building camaraderie within the congregation,
Right.
then we just say up front,
Right.
that's what the outcome is.
Okay, I'm with
it
you
has
there.
nothing to do with the vision.
That's
okay?
right. And so it comes back to that original question. Do you want to reach people and use your holiday plans for maximum outreach? Do you really want it to have a what next, or do you want it to end right then and there?
Right. Okay. So
Okay,
one more piece of that, and
Yeah.
that is, I love your idea of the kids and all that, but I want to go on all of them one step further.
Okay, take us.
It's really hard to market if you don't have contact information.
Oh, mercy.
So and how do you get contact information from your live nativity scene? Well, I got a great idea, which is an idea you've heard me say before. You need a door prize.
That's right.
You need a great door prize. If you're a rural, and this happened with us, if you're in a rural community, you give away, a door prize and you get a prize hog. You get to take home, you have to take
We've
it home
done
tonight.
that.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. But we were in a community
We'll
where
deliver it to you.
which is exactly what
I
happened.
know.
They delivered us. We're in the parsonage. We're going, what are we going to do with this thing? Anyway, a door prize they want. Speaking of holidays, one of our clients did a big special thing for 4th of July this year. And they instead of doing what they always did, they said, we'll do a door prize. And they did an iPad. They went and invested $250, $300 on an iPad, and they didn't raffle it. That's making money.
Right.
They did a door prize, and you just had to sign up. They had 4,000 people show up for the event. They had 600 households sign up for the door prize. They got 600 sets of contact information with names, addresses, phone numbers, emails,
Right.
and they are following up, have been following up. They've done baptisms. It's done great. Same kind of thing here. Do a great door prize, and then follow up with Christmas advertising
Right.
and New Year's advertising
Right.
and ad nauseum. Go
Right.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I want us also to think farther out, right?
Absolutely.
Or further out,
Yeah,
rather.
it's not
Okay,
just about
right.
December.
So let me say this: that one of the churches that I worked with had a woman who made these gorgeous wreaths, and so she made 2 gorgeous wreaths, and there were some other items for their door prizes, but with those, there was some advertising, if you will. We had flyers as well that talked about doing a wreath workshop. And so then we got the names, because you had to sign up, right? You had to put your email, your phone number to get the door prize, right? So we got all that information. And then we were able to invite them then back for the workshop, which then we had our kids' stuff around, and she was a mom, and so she was, able to bring other moms together, people who had enjoyed her wreaths, and there were older people too, of course. So anyway, so they came, we got some pieces with the kids. Christmas pageant, Christmas Eve was telling the Christmas story, but I still have these, angel halos and wings and animal noses, so that everybody...
It was a spontaneous Christmas
pageant.
No practice Christmas pageant.
Right, yeah, it was a blast. I've done that with several churches. Absolute blast. And then, and the follow-up was that we did the invitations for different events, but we then did another wreath in the spring. So that's one of those pieces you're thinking out into the next
in the
year,
future, right? Exactly, because it's not all about just this holiday,
right? And
it's
let me
about bringing
say,
new people in.
With one of the ways that one of the things to do, get their addresses if you can all get their addresses, and then write invitations.
Yep.
Thank yous for being there. I never did thank yous, but we invited people. We did Christmas cards, and we got people from the church, as many people who'd come, and a church provided the envelopes or the cards and the stamps, and people just signed on.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So you plan your activities. Plan whatever your activities based on your vision. Now, probably in your community, most communities have activities that are already planned for the city.
Right.
Or, the Chamber of Commerce is doing this or whatever. There's activities that, or events, the Christmas parade, et cetera, that your church can participate in. And we want to encourage you to do a couple of those, one of those, whatever it is that you're, based on the size of your church, get involved with. But again, when you approach any of these, your top question is, how are we going to leverage it so that we get contact information so we can invite them to? So again, same deal. How do we get contact information in the community where I served, the last church I was at? Every year they had the mayor's holiday tree lighting. He was real clear, it's Christmas tree, but the city called it the holiday tree lighting. And he showed up as Santa Claus, the mayor did. It was a great event. And the church that I was at, we were the hayride, and we were the hot cocoa stop. And people stopped, they got hot cocoa, we interacted, we got contact information, and et cetera, so we could follow up. So how do you leverage the events that are there, even the ones that you're not necessarily going to be sponsoring or hosting? Okay?
Hosting.
The other thing when you do this planning, and that is the plan, and we talk about this a lot, but I'm going to continue to beat this drum, plan vision-focused, relevant sermon series.
Yeah, please.
This is the holiday season, a time for celebration. It's also very stressful. How do you have a stress-free or a less stress holiday season? A great sermon series to talk about, because people are more concerned about that than they are love, hope, joy, and peace.
Right.
That's not the right order, but for Advent. No one celebrates Advent outside of the church.
Right.
But we all celebrate Christmas and the run up to Christmas. And I'm not saying scrap Advent. Go ahead and do that, but let's create sermon series that talk about perhaps those things, but putting it in language that connects with people who don't go to church. And they say, wow, I've got to go hear that because this is going to be a horrible Christmas, or this is a great Christmas, but I've lost the meaning. There's, whatever.
Right. So just some things I've done over the years personally of ministry. I call it the count up to Christmas. And then in publicity and talking out there, we don't talk about Advent, but we do have an Advent wreath.
Sure.
But what we start with really is we're talking about that and why it's there. And even we'll talk about what Advent is, and we'll have inserts or something, some information that says what Advent is.
Right. There's nothing wrong with Advent, but we have to educate.
Right.
Once they're there.
Right.
Once they're there, don't educate
them. They're not coming generally. Some people would come because it's Advent. Those who are CE Christian.
Right. Christian Easter.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, another thing I've done is when the season sucks, right?
Oh, there we are.
Survival, or survival tips, season survival tips.
Yeah,
and
great.
so we really do talk about what about your family? What about when you've got loss? Or there are all kinds of, like, when your family fights, or when you don't have your family, when there's an empty chair at your table, right? So anyways, that's where you're going to really hit home.
And people show up for that kind of stuff.
And there's good news, in
exactly,
all of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So
Gotta
point
keep
3,
moving.
because we're almost out of time, and I always
Always.
want to touch into this, and that is, you got your vision, you know what you want to accomplish, you're designing your events and your sermon series to communicate the vision and to bring new people in and connect with them. The last bit is, how do you get the word out? You got to create a marketing plan. I know there's a lot of churches push, we don't do marketing. Well, yes, you do. When you tell your congregation, we want you to get out and invite, that's called word of mouth marketing. So let me just invite you to get over it, and let's work with the language that communicates, and marketing communicates. And there's 3 things I want to talk about real quick on just bullet point list. Number 1, pastor, you are the face of your church in the community. You need to be out hobnobbing with the mayor, the Chamber of Commerce director, Chamber of Commerce in general, your local vendors or business owners, et cetera, et cetera. You need to be out there, especially in this season, but you need to be out there the other 360
Oh my gosh,
days
yeah,
too.
don't try to pack it in there.
Right, exactly. But you need to be out there and letting people know and being the face of the community. Just get out there. Number 2 is word of mouth marketing. I'm going to let you run with this, because this is where we get your members inviting, and you've done something for years that has been very, very successful in this.
Yeah, you go to a mall or someplace like a little cafe or something, you got 2 people from the church, and they start talking about what's going on at the church, and
whisper campaigns.
A whisper campaign. Oh, when the first time I was taught that. So yeah, you just go and you do that, and then you do it for a while in one setting, and then you go move across the courtyard.
But you got to make sure you're dropping the name of the church.
Drop the name of the church,
drop what's
the time,
going on,
why you're excited about it.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it to sound like, this is my church necessarily doing it. It's like, I am so excited about what's happening at our church down the street.
Okay, so I'm going to waylay you, because that's a good one too.
Yeah, we got.
I was talking about the candy canes ones.
Oh, my candy canes!
Yeah, that's really what I was hitting at.
Okay, I really love
yeah.
the other, obviously, right? The candy canes. Oh, I have done this for,
years,
I don't know,
decades,
years,
probably.
like 25,
Yeah.
25 years or so, maybe more. No, 25. You take a piece of, excuse me, I run things off. I'm like really simple about stuff like this. You take and divide a piece of paper into 4, and you run off, in each one. So you've got a quadrant
Use
of paper.
Canva, make it do something
and
deep.
it says, I don't know.
Whatever you're advertising,
Yeah.
your
Well,
upcoming
it'll
sermon
be
series,
like,
or your kids'
Christmas,
stuff. Or
Christmas at, say, Lakewood Heights, United Methodist Church. That's where I became a Christian. Christmas there, and then you have like what your sermon series is and events that are coming up,
right.
And then you glue a candy cane on it, and so, or not glue, you tape a candy cane on it,
or tie a ribbon around it, whatever.
or whatever, and then you pass them out. This has been my favorite part. You pass them out to people, like you move a basket with them in there. Get the kids, if you have any, to help you distribute them
during worship.
During worship, and you ask everybody to take 2 to 3, and then then they're to give them to people they know or they meet. People come back. We have run out of candy canes every time I've done that, because people will come back over and over and over again. Another thing you can do is, instead of taping it on there, actually this is how I prefer it, is you take a ribbon and you tie the ribbon around there. I've given it to people at Walmart's. There's a grocery store where I used to pray for this man. He always looked so sad. I prayed for him all the time, but every year I made sure he got a candy cane and been prayed on.
All right, so last one is social media planning, and that really is, you got to create an event in social media, and it needs to have, kind of like what you just talked about, good graphics and all the information, and then get your congregation to share it, to comment on it, to like it, et cetera, and you also need to do Christmas posts or holiday posts that are like once a week or twice a week that are talk about going out and get your congregation to talk it up on social media. Hey, we've done episodes on social media marketing. I want to point you there for the time being, because there's a lot more that can be said, and we have no time. So, hey, start planning and start planning around the vision of what you want out of your
Be thinking of it.
Right.
It's
Start
not too late. It's not too early.
Yeah, it's not too early.
It's not too early. It's almost too late.
But yeah, it's almost too late. So hey, we'll see you again next week.
Yes, have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.